Hi, and welcome to today's session. We are here to discuss Sandvik remote monitoring services with Thomas van Hecke and Ricus Terblanche, Business Line Manager, Sales Area, Western Africa. We'll learn the outcomes of the first pilot of implementing the Sandvik remote monitoring services. And we will also gain insights how these remote services allow getting the maximum out of equipment data, predicting failures and preventing downtime. Welcome, Ricus and Thomas.
Hi, Martina.
Morning, Martina.
Great having you here. So, Thomas, you work as the Global Digital Service Portfolio Manager, and you're based in?
I'm based out of the Netherlands in Amsterdam.
Okay, and you, Ricus, where are you based?
The BLM for Parts and Service in West Africa, currently based in Ghana. Kumasi is the headquarters for us, distribution in Ghana.
So, let us know where you are from too. Post your questions in the comment field and we'll try to answer them as we go. So, Thomas, let's dive in. Why is remote monitoring service such a breakthrough digital solution?
Right. Well, remote monitoring service, I think, offers a unique combination of a digital service with applied OEM knowledge from Sandvik.
All right, so this concept obviously combines Sandvik's expertise both as an OEM and as in digital solutions. But in doing so, what are the main benefits for customers?
I think first and foremost, and that's really key both for our customers and Sandvik, it's to increase safety and offer sustainable solution. At the same time, we really improve the uptime of the equipment and reduce the unplanned maintenance. And what it really comes down to is that through continuously providing this remote monitoring service, we together with the customer strive to drive from reactive towards predictive.
Thank you. And let's look at a visualization of the remote services. Can you walk us through it, how it works?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a simplified process view, I would say. On the left-hand side, what we see is the focus on Sandvik's OEM knowledge on machine behavior, which comes from things like maintenance data, the acquired equipment data, machine and component life cycles, and other sources. This gets combined and is really utilized by what we see in the middle of this graphic. Is utilized by the Global Productivity and Reliability Center, which builds common dashboards, algorithms, smarter alarms, and so forth, and makes that available to local hubs, which you see around there, that have monitoring specialists in the sales areas, and then they are really responsible to drive that information to their customer site by means of recommendations. So when something occurs that needs to be provided, they give a recommendation to the responsible on site, is being actioned into a work order, and then validated back into the local monitoring center.
Thank you. Very well put there. You got the visual there and the process explained. So just to recap, we are here talking about Sandvik remote monitoring services with Thomas van Hecke and Ricus Terblanche. So, Thomas, I know that you are conducting a pilot with the Sandvik monitoring services as well, and we're here to talk about it. And seeing this picture, maybe you can mention some of the KPIs that you set together with customers and how it works.
Yeah. So obviously, this is not a standard off-the-shelf solution. So we go into discussion with our customers. We try to find out together with them what matters most, and we have a set of either maintenance or operation-related KPIs that we can track and agree upon with our customers that we will track those. Along the terms of the service, and indirectly, I would say we also influence productivity, but that's not a KPI that we agree on.
Okay, thank you. And I know in this concept there is a global and there is a local monitoring specialist. Could you let us in on what the differences are and their respective roles?
Yeah, and that also got visualized, I think, on that graphic a little bit. So the global team is really responsible for the development and further improvement of the service through developing dashboards, creating algorithms on different machine types and components, and providing smarter and more and better alarms. And that's really a package that they improve over time. Whereas the local responsibles in the hubs, so to speak, their task is really to interpret the issues that occur on the customer's fleet and to continuously monitor the customer's fleet.
So this pilot, can you share some high-level results?
Yes. So we've been in this for some time, and I can say that we've definitely achieved a continuous improvement in the trend of the KPIs that we've been tracking. And overall, we've been able to show consistent customer savings, as well as through critical intervention, we've been able to extend the life of some components of our critical to our customers.
Great, thank you. And speaking of feedback, how does that work? How do you receive feedback from your customers? I know there are many levels.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, obviously, we speak to different parts in the customer organization, and that also, I think, reflects in the way we work with feedback. So, I would split it in two. You have operational feedback and more managerial feedback, so to say. The operational feedback that goes either on an ad hoc basis. So when an intervention is required, we provide it. We also get the feedback on that and close that loop. And then standard also on a weekly basis. We provide operational feedback in the form of a report that's generated, sent to the customer, and reviewed together with the operational and maintenance team that has been attributed to following up this service. And then, at least I would say on a quarterly, but more often even on a bi-monthly or monthly basis, we set a management meeting together with the customer site management and even sometimes with people from customer HQ to go over the developing trend of the KPIs being tracked, the savings done so far, to list some of the critical interventions that have happened and to review those and to address any requests or concerns that the customer may have.
Thank you. And let's hear from Ricus on a local level, working close to the customer. What are your perceptions of the results of the pilot so far?
Yeah, Martina, I mean, for the first time, we've actually had a lot more information regarding how operators actually use this equipment, because we check the trending of operations of this equipment and how efficient equipment gets operated. I mean, we can even look at habits and see which operators has developed wrong habits over the years. So you can tailor-make your training in such a way that you can address these habits. It also has given us the insight on the equipment that we actually move totally away from your normal standard services and breakdown repairs to preventative maintenance. So as soon as something has a trend that it goes in the wrong direction, we have the capability and the information to act on that and actually fix the issue before it becomes a breakdown and before it causes some production losses. So from our side, the insights we get on operators, the insights we get from our machine health status, and as well as some of the information we get from the conditions where the machine actually work under. That's been enormous value added to our operations and the productivity of our equipment.
So what I hear is that it's not anymore about a piece of equipment breaking down and you see that there has been a failure. You're talking about trends, analyzing trends, actually. Could you let us in on how that works?
Yeah, I mean, in the past, I mean, equipment has got a maximum and a minimum level on everything we measure. Temperature, pressures, flow. So in the past, you act when you had an alarm, and the alarm actually got set off when it gets to its maximum or minimum level. Now, with continuous monitoring, we can monitor the trend in between the two parameters. So we can immediately see if that trend is trending up or trending down, and we can act on that trend way before it gets to the maximum minimum level. This means before any damage is done to a piece of equipment, a component, we are able to actually go in there, do the maintenance, look at what's wrong, and fix the issue before any damage gets done to the machine. Obviously, with that, you get extended life of components, a better efficiency on your equipment, and all in all, a reduction in cost.
That sounds like a revolution within maintenance. So we are here live talking about Sandvik Remote Monitoring Service, and we're right now talking to Ricus Terblanche, who is Business Line Manager for Sales Area Western Africa for Parts and Services. So Ricus, could you talk a little bit about the future for Sandvik Remote Monitoring Services? Is there a substantial need in your region?
Yeah, Martina, I mean, what we've seen in the past is, well, especially in West Africa, I mean, you look at places like Mali and the customers we've got in Mali, which is very remote. I mean, this will give people the ability to actually take a smartphone or take any device and actually log into the system and actually see what the health of the equipment is and how the equipment performs. So we started with the one pilot in the area, and I can tell you now that we're signing on the second customer now, and we've got inquiry for the third customer. So if it's possible to connect the equipment, if you look at all the tailor-made maintenance strategies or philosophies we can get from this, I mean, the value is enormous. I mean, it is really.
I love hearing about it, and we have a few questions. Are you ready to answer them?
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
There is a question from Shivmohan Yadav. He is a mining site engineer, and he wants to know, or she, or they, any opening in India operation?
You mean if there's a job opening?
Or if you are operating in India, maybe, if the remote services are operating there.
Okay. Not to the level that we've presented it here yet, but we are definitely utilizing parts of this service at one of our key customers in India too. Okay,
so there is more to come. And let's continue a little bit, because Ricus, talking to you, I would like to know a little bit more on a detailed level. For those wanting an example, could you describe the process from your side? How does it work?
I mean, the process for the flow of the data, or the process of... Oh, okay. Yeah, Martina, what happens is any of the equipment has got, obviously, pressure sensors, temperature sensors, flow meters, position sensors. All of these things is part of the equipment. So what we actually do is we take all the data from all the different sensors, we send it to a hard drive, which we call a DCU, and this DCU has got the capability to link to a Wi-Fi device. So some of the customers, depends on the maturity and the complexity of the mine, has got a lot of access points underground. As soon as the equipment passes the access point, it will then send the data to the access point via Wi-Fi, and it will continue up into the cloud. When it gets to the cloud, that's where Thomas and his team take this data, and they do all the algorithms and write provide the reports on all of these trends, any warning signs, any issues that they see that might alarm. I mean, there's so many information on these pieces of equipment. I mean, and he provides any anomalies that we see on that piece of equipment and send it back to us. Obviously, we get that information, and from there, we would tailor-made our maintenance strategy to ensure that we actually focus on these issues and actually repair them.
Yeah, and when we talked earlier, you said that this is a great thing even for training, because you get down to the level of a single operator. You can.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, we can go into the level of a single operator that we know is working on this shift, is loading in that area. So we can immediately identify wrong habits from the operator. We can also identify if there's an issue in the condition where the machines operate. If a machine trains at a certain temperature, for instance, as an example, and it enters a different area and the temperature's raised, then we also got the ability to tell the customer, listen, customer, there's something wrong in the area where the machine operates, and it's going to cause an issue on this machine.
Great. We have another question for you guys. So,
All right.
Daniel Mayut from Network 3 Head of Portfolio Sales Development wants to know if the operational data is it transmitted in real time? And if so, what type of communication technology is used?
All right, maybe I can take that one. So, yes, the data is transmitted as real time as we can. So that's not milliseconds, but there is some time lag, and it depends what mine networks are available, right? So we can communicate over Wi-Fi, LTE, and so forth, and obviously it needs to be processed to the cloud. And I would say that there is a small time lag in making that information back available, but it's not dramatic. So we keep it as short as possible, technology-wise.
Thank you. Good to know. And just for a recap, we're here live learning about Sandvik remote monitoring services. And if you want an in-depth version of this live session, make sure to sign up for our virtual event, Innovation in Mining. It's going to take place September 29 and 30th, and you will know more about it. So let's continue a little bit. If a customer wants to get started right away with this services, how do they go about it, Ricus?
Yeah, Martina, the first thing is, I mean, obviously, different types of equipment has got different levels of intelligence in it. So what has happened over the years with this, the way we moved forward with intelligent equipment was that we monitor a lot more than what we did 10 years ago. So the first thing the customer needs to do is he needs to send me the model number and the serial number of this piece of equipment. Then according to that bill of material for that specific piece of equipment, I will be able to tell him what kind of information we will be able to send. So if he's happy with the amount of information he can receive, then obviously we can fit this TCU to this machine and we can get this information from the machine and actually give him reports. It's just some of the equipment is just too old. The systems we monitor on these machines are very primitive and outdated. So in these old machines, it sometimes doesn't make sense to actually do it.
No. And you're talking about that some of the mine sites are already having this intelligent equipment, whereas others don't, and then they can choose to upgrade it to use the rebuild or reborn offering.
Yes, a lot of our equipment models, I mean, has the capability. We've got the capability to actually like we say, rebuild or reborn this piece of equipment, and then we will upgrade it to a more intelligent version of the control system, which we will be able to track and monitor all these different parameters.
Thank you.
So yes, it is possible in some of them.
Good. And Thomas, I know that you already have expanded the pilot to several parts of the world. And is it true that you plan to make it a standard offering?
That's correct, actually. Not straight away, but I'd say we started with one pilot at the beginning of this year, and meanwhile, as Ricus mentioned, even in his sales area alone, there's potential for more. But across the world, we've expanded in several areas with multiple pilots being run simultaneously at this moment. And if we continue that success at the rate it's going right now with the remote monitoring service, then definitely I would say we should be in a position to provide this as a standard service across the enabled sales areas in next year.
Positive news. We have a question from the audience for you. So it's from Jason Brentnell. He's an auto electrician at Downer. Is this service able to offer real-time alerts for things like riding the service brake, overspeeds, etc.?
Yeah, again, I think it links a little bit to the earlier question also on how real-time is the data. So obviously we have our operator control panel in the cockpit of the machine as well, where you see some of the alerts immediately. Here it depends on the technology. So if we send everything up to the cloud, then there is a small minor time lag, but it's not substantial, as I earlier pointed out. So you will be able to pick it up quite fast that something is going wrong, and that you need to indeed address these kind of safety violations, which was pointed out, and otherwise there is an opportunity also to work on a local network. So.
Thank you. And we have another one about data security. So it's Nilesh Chowdhury, project sales and proposals. How are data security issues addressed?
Okay. I was actually hoping somebody would ask a question around data privacy and security. Obviously, this is something that Sandvik regards as extremely important. So, from a data security point of view, we are using the highest standards and encryption models that are at least at the level of the banking industry, I would say, for our cloud solution. And at the same time, there's also the topic of customer data consent, right? So we make entirely sure that the data that is being shared with Sandvik, it remains the customer's data, obviously, and that it's treated confidentially. We have this in our terms and conditions, and also that. We do everything in full transparency. So we try to be an absolute safeguard of the customer's data in both legal and security ways.
Thank you, Thomas. We have another question. I don't know which one of you wants to answer it, but it is from Frank Kwaku Antwi, based in Ghana. So what are the major challenges been faced with the remote services? I don't know who wants to answer that.
Well, since it's in Ghana, I'll give this one to Ricus.
Yeah, Martina, I think what has happened is that some of the customers have seen this information as a way of focusing on operator and focusing on everything that goes wrong. And I mean, that's the wrong mindset. If you're going to use this data, for instance, in operation and use it as a stick to beat the people the whole time, then the attitude from the people towards this information really becomes very, very negative. So a big challenge for us in the beginning is how do we take this information and turn it around to something positive to show the guys how they can improve. So the one thing we did do is we've developed a operator sheet where we can actually rank operators and actually put a percentage of efficiency behind the operator's name, even per shift. So that has become a sort of a competition between the operators. Who's got the highest percentage? Who's got the least brake violations? Who's got the least overspeeding? And obviously, who moves the most tons? So I think the biggest challenge for this going forward is that we need to use it and take this information and turn it around into something positive to uplift the people instead of using it as a stick to beat everybody up about something that they're doing wrong. And that not only applies to the operators, it also applies to the technical guys and the people who's fixing the equipment. If you're going to beat up your maintenance crew the whole time about something that goes wrong, just because you have all this information, then it's not going to work for you. You need to use it as a tool to uplift the industry and the people.
Yeah, I know that we talked about how important it is to empower people as well, and that in the previous session we talked about automation and that there is a similar fear a little bit that automation will, take over jobs. But on the other hand, what we did talk about was that it actually enables people to get more skilled and more advanced skilled. And I think you said the same thing about this, Ricus, that it's about training and new skills.
Yeah, Martina, we do anything to see a result, and hopefully we want to do something to see a positive result. And with this information, if I send people to a machine and I can show them a trend and I can show them the issue, and they do the work, if that machine leaves the workshop, they can immediately see the result. Hopefully it's fixed perfectly and the pressures and the settings and the speeds and RPMs, whatever was the issue, is resolved. And that also has put a lot of self-pride into the people when they actually work on machines, when they tailor-made their maintenance around this issue, and they get it resolved to give the feedback and say it's fixed, it's working perfectly. That's been a big win for the guys on the floor as well.
Thank you. And I think we have time for one last question, and it's from Roger Kuhn, Sales Area Manager. Are the operational data from the compressors as well incorporated in the monitoring system?
Yeah, that's particularly that's a very specific question, but yes, these can be monitored.
Okay.
Depends on the model of the machine, but
yeah, of course. And obviously we will have another question, because has the remote monitoring service been rolled out to cover surface drills and crushing systems? The question is from Daniel Bannister.
That's a great question, and the answer there is that we've started with pilots in the underground mining, as we're discussing here, but at the same time we're obviously looking into our very important surface fleet as well, where we have intelligent machines, as was mentioned by Ricus earlier, where we could do a similar service. So this is definitely on the roadmap, soon to come. And crushing and screening, I know that there's a similar project ongoing, so I'm sure that something will come out of the pipeline soon as well.
Great to hear. So to round up, for those who haven't been here from the start, we're talking about Sandvik remote monitoring services, and could you both kind of give the highlights? What is the best or what is the greatest about Sandvik remote monitoring services? You start, Thomas.
All right. I just summarize again by saying that it's a great solution that's allowed us to help the customer increase their equipment uptime, reduce the unplanned maintenance. It improves safety in the ground, and really what it comes down to is that we become less reactive and more preventative or even predictive. So it really fits in driving a predictive maintenance strategy for customers, and I think that's putting us in a very good position. Yeah.
Thank you. And you, Ricus, what are your
Yeah, I mean, from my side, I think it's very exciting to see and tailor-made your maintenance philosophy or strategy around information like this. I mean, it gives you so much insight that you totally move away from reactive maintenance and go to predictive and preventative maintenance. So everything you do on your service is not fixing something; it's actually looking at something that might give you an issue going forward. So. Life extension on components, huge plus. I mean, it's huge jobs. We move away from all of these things, especially when it becomes breakdowns. And then just the efficiency of this equipment. I mean, the better and more efficient the equipment operate, I mean, it's a win for both us and the client. So for me, definitely very close to what Thomas has said, moving away from reactive and moving into a predictive maintenance situation.
Thank you both. It has been great having you here today, and I hope you enjoyed it too.
Thanks a lot, Martina. And if I just may add, I want to recap on what you earlier said on this virtual event on the 29th and the 30th of September. And I'd really invite everyone here online as well to join our deep dive into remote monitoring service. But on top of that, we'll also have a session on my Sandvik mixed fleet telematics, which is around the reporting on the equipment that we can do now on non-Sandvik as well.
Sounds really interesting. And don't miss our next live session on the 22nd of September, where we'll meet Brian Huff, Vice President of Technology at Sandvik-owned Artisan Vehicles. We'll get to ask him all about today's battery electric vehicles. There are so much to learn. It's going to be great. And also, as Thomas said, don't forget to sign up for Innovation in Mining, our virtual event. It's about digitalization in mining, it's about mining automation, sustainable mining, and much more. So stay tuned. Thank you for watching.